White well-being, a sphere where the good and the noble come together after a life, after generations of victimization by anti-whites, to make for themselves a healthier, happier future, together with anyone, regardless of race, who aligns oneself with the idea that white people, European people, Hyperboreans, Caucasians deserve for themselves a place on this planet where they can live freely and be masters of their own destiny. Or white well-being, a place full of charlatans who act like leeches and carrion eaters, preying upon a downtrodden people, sucking what little lifeblood is left that seeks to free itself, but inevitably will be doomed to be servants to yet another cabal of rulers. What do you think? So, I was thinking about that, and it sounds a bit harsh, I suppose, but it cannot be said enough. People that know me or have been following my videos for a while, I should say that perhaps. Well, I've brought it up before. Evil people, Antilife people, pathological types. They are a severe problem in anyone's lives today because the anti-white rules the world, if you will. And the anti-white is a despicable creature who wants so much harm, so much chaos, for multiple reasons, one of which is they hate anyone that is noble, has a good heart, and they are self-loathing. If you love yourself, you love the world. That's just how psychology works. And I think that is clarified enough. But of course, there are also types who are genuinely empathic, who do want to not only help themselves but help others along the way. They have self-respect, certain individualism, enough of it so that they can pursue their personal wants and needs. But they balance it out with, a certain collectivism, if you will, that they understand that to achieve that, well, usually you need other people. Individualism, just as a little aside, is not so much about being, on your own or only looking after yourself, because we are a group species. At the same time, doesn't mean that we need to surrender to the collective mindset either. We do question, we do sometimes headbutt each other, but that is how we move forward, progress, if you will, as a people, and come up with new inventions, how we keep up that fighting spirit in the heart, and all of that good stuff. Nonetheless, I wanted to talk about this because in the first place it was on my mind, and it's a beautiful world. I wanted to be more green, and I wanted to be more vibrant and healthy, if you will. Just ideal, and we do not even know the half of how much better it could be, promise you that. But that is all for the future, I suppose. We need to look at how things are right now and how that can be amended. Talking about it is always a good start. Acting is, of course, necessary too. Everyone knows that, right? I hope so. But in my attempt, and I've been pretty okay with that, to keep as many miserable people out of my life as possible, and usually they leave of their own accord. It's like some people say, is that if you are a good person, you stand up for yourself, you will scare away the miscreants among us, because they do not like that. They do not like to see, or how shall one put it, they see their own misery in people who are the opposite of what they are. And if you are truly miserable, you're the only thing that you can think of doing, I suppose, or actually that's not true. The choice you make is to, rather than improve oneself, so you don't need to feel that miserable, is go the easy path and make someone else as miserable. You know, they try to push that onto us. Get out of shape, it's prettier that way, or don't laugh and feel guilty for your ancestors, yourself, and your pretty blue eyes, or your pretty violet eyes, and your pretty red hair, and your pretty blonde hair, and the brown hair, and the wavy hair, and the curly hair, like all of it. If it's white, just get rid of it and feel ashamed, feel guilty. You have done a lot of stuff that they will make up you did, and yeah, well, you need to be smart enough, I suppose, and have the self-respect to withstand that and say no. Go, go somewhere else. Go away. If white people disturb you that much, maybe not going too near them is the solution. But then we have that problem that whiteys actually tend to be very good at making things, don't they? Yeah, productive bunch, these whiteys. And no, miserable people, not so much, right? You put whiteys in the middle of the wilds and you end up with a resort, and you end up with anti-whites in the same situation. There's not gonna be many of them left after only a week or two, I think. It's just how, yeah, it's just what nature ordains in a sense, and those who are anti-nature, anti-life. Anyways, coming back to the main point, white positive sphere, white well-being sphere. It's excellent. I want to put some emphasis though on, have we really been doing enough to get rid of the carrion eaters and the leeches, the charlatans among us? Have we been pushing away the liars who are only coming to the sphere with religious intent? Basically, they want to have converts for their religion, and they might walk up to, some of the more well-known people out there who do host guests. They'll sing a song, they'll tell you a nice story, and then afterwards they say, "Hey, come to me," and and then quietly, without words, they say, "And leave all that white nonsense behind." There are those people, and guess what? They're white themselves. Oh, it has to be said. I think nobody is doing as much harm to the white positive sphere as whites themselves, but it's the miserable ones, right? It's the twisted ones. And I see a lot of our people still too focused on, no, it's the other groups out there. It's this non-white group and that non-white group and this class and that class. It's like, no, not really. Sure, there is that aspect to it, but you need to look at yourself before you can clean up, the world around you. Seriously, that's how it works. So, if you want to get somewhere with white well-being, we need to clean up. That's not just you who I'm talking with, that's everyone who needs to partake. It's a matter of self-respect, it really is. You do not need to get in someone's face. No, you can just ask questions. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Demand, or how shall one put it? Should I actually bring up an example? Because I've been in a conversation with guys. I do not know them all personally. Some I knew a bit better than others by now, because I've been interacting a lot. But I was in a chat with, how many were we? 5 guys or something like that. And the conversation quickly went to some well-known figure that everyone who has half a brain can immediately see that there's something off with this figure. Well-known name. It's not. And the question that the guys had or presenting to the group in general is just, well, is he a good guy? No, everyone thought he was not, but they didn't quite know how to quantify it. So I figured throwing my train of thinking in the group, and I said, well, okay, if you're not certain that he is damaging, or if you're not, you get that vibe, you get that vibe and that's it, but you don't have something solid, something empirical to go on, then the way how I look at that, how you can deal with that is by saying, okay, what has he done? Or she, can be a woman too. They're no less criminal than the men. And no more either, by the way. So, yeah. What I present then is simply, okay, so this well-known figure has been around for the last 7 years or something like that, as far as I'm aware. Popped up out of nowhere, had a bunch of cash, a bunch of support, just like that, like in a flash. And you might think, okay, but there might be people who are in the upper echelons of society who do jump in, who want the right thing, and they just have that because they inherited it or they worked for it or whatever it's gonna be, or both. It's not one or the other either. But then I ask to the group, okay guys, so what has he done so far? And like I'm not talking about how many talks has he done, how many parades has he been part of, how many how well dressed he is, how well spoken he is. I don't give anything about that. Just the hard facts of who has he helped, how has he helped the white positive sphere. Has he fed hungry people? Has he been teaching people something that they can live by? Has he been what else can one say? Are there recommendations? That's also a big one. Are there genuine recommendations of people that you can go to and ask them, what, you have been a follower of this guy for the past 7 years or whatever it's going to be. How has this changed your life for the better? And specifically ask for the better. Is that at all possible? And if the answer is no, then you know all you need to, as far as I'm aware. You might have some of these types who would say, oh, but behind the curtains, that's where it's all happening. Behind the curtains. Behind the curtains. That's making up stories. I do not care what happens behind the curtains, because it's clearly meant to be behind the curtains. And if you have people who work there, so to say, why is he in the open? Just to keep the spirits up? That's not how it works. No, if there are works that have to be done in the shadows, so to say, if you have to go through Moria, so to say, then keep it there. But if someone comes in the open, in the light, might actually want to have something to show for your efforts. And if in the meantime you're doing something, in a place where nobody else has business following it, fine. But if it is only this excuse, no, now you're just deluding yourself. Which comes into, well, I hope that in and of itself is already a help to people to have that understanding. That, no, what has he actually done, or she? If the answer is nothing, please move on. Don't waste your life on that. And spread the question around. No, you can ask. Maybe you don't know in the moment. Maybe you'll meet someone a week from then and ask them, hey, what has he actually done, or she? Nothing wrong with that. And if you don't get a decent answer, well, guess it's up for you personally to decide when you've had enough to say, now it's really enough, I don't want to hear anything about that individual anymore. Gonna focus on something healthy, on something that actually does something. Someone that does something. It's also another part is that many people focus on the one and they forget that by doing so, there's a lot that bypasses them. You can only focus on so much at a time, right? If imagine all those people who've been questioning for 7 years that individual. What do you do with that? That 7 years you've wasted on looking at that one figure who was never going to amount to anything publicly, at least, which is, something that you should demand from public people. And by extent, even just trying, that's also fair. Genuinely trying with efforts that clearly would have had good results had they worked out. Now let's say you want to do a food truck thingy in a poor neighborhood, and you want to spread around, you want to give everyone a good beef to eat, like every day or something, and in the meantime you talk, and you see if you can get them, work, you look for their talents and see what they can do with those talents, that sort of thing. But the tires, were popped or whatever, so you couldn't make it. That's another story. But again, putting your focus in the right places. If you're unsure about something for too long, that in and of itself could be a sign that maybe it's just not for you to focus on that. There might be nature crying out for you to say, go do what you were meant to do. There was something else, I brought it up and then it slipped from my mind again, thinking about all the rest. That's how it goes too, right? Goes to show that you cannot focus on too much at once, I suppose. Yeah, anyways, moving on, I suppose, and we'll see where it goes. If I remember it, I'll talk of it again. Or I might just listen to this video again myself and write it in the comment section. We'll see how I'll resolve it. So what else was there to mention? Yeah, and can you reach out? Or no, let's talk a bit then about these charlatans, and this is one way to know that someone is a charlatan, not worth dealing with, and what have you. But is that being done enough? And also, oh yeah, there we go. There is a religious aspect. In the white positive theory, you have many whites who have many different religions, organized religions, that they consider very important for them. And in and of itself, I am really disinterested in other people's beliefs. Like, you chose it, you keep it to yourself. If you want to force your ways of looking at the world onto me, now I have to consider you an anti-white, because you clearly are trying to get in my head, and that is what anti-whites do. They refuse to let whites live their lives freely as they see fit for themselves. Man, some even of those people who want to wish eternal damnation on you. Can you imagine that? Being in the white positive sphere, but you have this religion that tells you that the guy next to you who isn't, of the same belief as you should burn forever in eternal damnation. Does that sound white positive to you, to wish that on, to a brother basically, of your own people that you're standing next to? To me, that's pretty two-faced and disingenuous. Do I then say by extent that religion should be tossed out and put in the garbage or what have you? Not my business in the first place, until those people force it to be my business, I suppose. But I look at it this way. I have no issue with the followers of a certain religion, where I can still be pretty disgusted by the religion itself. What I mean with that is, I expect personal responsibility. And that is, I find, a fair way to deal with that. You might believe in whatever you like. You might follow the spirituality that befits you, one of the two, because I do consider spirituality and organized religion separate. You do that, and I will just hold you accountable for your deeds, of course. And if I find out that you have sentiments that are definitely anti-white, I'm gonna go and question that. And I've done so. And and I know that there are people in the white positive sphere who want to turn their face away from that. Makes them uncomfortable. Oh, this guy wants me to burn forever? But he's a friend because, you know, look, we're on the same sphere. We're in the same sphere. But then is he really? And then just the blind expectation, oh, it will all work itself out. You think so? That is going on a lot of foolish hope, I will call that. But yeah, I'm not saying that that's a cause for everyone to fall out. I'm saying that is important because these are the people who will invoke infighting. They will, just by the mere ideology that is in their head or religion that's in their head. Why is that not talked about more? Because anti-whites are just waiting for that time bomb to go off. And it definitely is one. There should be some damn... Yeah, there should be some lines drawn there, I suppose. Like, you can be of any religion you like. But if your religion has something bad to say about your own brethren, because your brethren think something else, that needs to be questioned and needs to be approached. And then those people need to individually be able to say, okay, you know, that part of my religion, I'll leave it aside, pinky swear, or what have you. Or they should be invited to go. I've also, and I know one of the reasons why that is not talked about is because there are people in the white positive sphere who think that that sort of zealotry, that sort of, as I call it, venom, corrosiveness of the mind, they think that that can be harnessed. They think that basically fanatics, zealots, like the trait for zealotry, if you will, if that even is one. I think it's more born from. I think that zealotry and fanatism is born from people who are just highly neurotic, down to the point of psychotic even, and they just clamp on to something in their lives. Who, you know, which is what organized religions are organized around usually. It's for desperate people or people who see no way out or whatever in their lives to clamp on, like frothing at the mouth, crazed, clamping on. And then these people, you know, just so desperate to hold on to something, they will never let it go, and anyone who questions it becomes an enemy to them. Oh boy, I'm almost running out of time. I'm gonna have to make a part 2 on this, I think, guys. But you see then if you haul in these neurotics and psychos into the white positive sphere, that you're just setting yourself up for a disaster. They will, because the thing with fanatics is they strike out at anyone who doesn't meet their their demands. Kinda like anti-whites they're following. Have you seen it lately? I'm pretty sure you did. How frothing at the mouth crazy the anti-whites are, especially the ones in the streets. But the ones in suits too, although those, they hide it more. They don't want to give the perception to be like those deranged loons in the streets in their rags. And their, what have you, don't want to get into that too much. But do you really want that? Or do we really want that in the white positive sphere? Can you imagine already, like these obese, pierced all over, tattooed all over, and there's nothing wrong necessarily with it if it's done artistically, I suppose. Just unhealthy individuals, spiritually vile, and physically repulsive. Do you really want that on your side? You see it in organized religion, you see it with anti-whiteism, where the religion is atheism, I guess. Sounds a bit like a contradiction, but it really is not. if you understand the spirituality of humanity, if you will, a bit more. But yeah, point in place. Harnessing that sort of zealotry, that's asking for a lot of trouble, because those people will inevitably turn on people who are just more reasonable. And that is when, you see, how shall one put it? Like the white well-being church is something that a lot of people might be looking out for. But I can guarantee you it's gonna go south at some point. Because at some point they're gonna say to themselves that the white positive people who aren't in a church are insufficiently okay to exist, I suppose. And history tells you the rest. But yeah, again, I don't see any talk about that. Only the mere hopes that, it's all just gonna work itself out. Extremely naive at best and delusional at worst. Maybe Hans is wrong. I hope I am. But I do not expect so. Because I've read my share of books on history and all of that. Psychology. Listen to a lot of people too. It's not gonna end pretty if we go there. Plus, there is a lot of philosophy of the past that has been repressed. If it comes out again, it's gonna do our people a lot of good. Just saying. And it's gonna heal a lot of our people too. What else? Well, I only got a few more minutes left and I've got so much else in my mind. I guess I'll make a part 2. But I think this is important that it stays in our heads, and I know I've talked about it quite frequently, and I'm gonna keep doing so because I don't see it anywhere else. And it might just be because I'm missing it, and that is totally fine. Then I'm certain that some people will find these individuals who talk about this and present them to me, or present me to them, what have you. And engage a bit more in conversation, see where it goes, and hopefully we can amend for a change of pace a disaster in history. Wouldn't that be nice? We haven't done that in a while. Anyone ever noticed that we keep seeing the same patterns over and over? History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. I forgot, unfortunately, the man who made that statement. Well, it's kind of our own fault, And it is because too many good people just are silent. Yeah, what else can one say? I think maybe a little extra. Don't know, guys. What do you think? Oh well, I'll leave it there for now. It's I have so much to dig into there. But yeah, the main difference is what are we gonna let it become? And that is a daily activity. We work on that daily and we have to do it together, but it does take bravery. It's not only the bravery to finally stand up for yourself and your own people, you need to go that extra step and call others out who pretend to do so, or who want to take over the sphere and let it go to waste. And it has happened too, right? There have people who have bonded together over good, what is it called again? It was like a time when people who like to play video gamers, just got together and they wanted to do something about the increasing anti-whiteisms, like they keep calling it, what the anti-whites themselves call it, woke and all of that. No, they wanted to get anti-whiteisms out of video games. This brainwashing, this attempt at brainwashing the young, and Amazingly, the young themselves said enough, but then it fell apart. I think the atheist sphere in the early 2000s also tried to just wrench itself free, predominantly from the indoctrinating elements in society from religion. And that in and of itself, I can applaud that. But again, it fell apart. Why was that? It's because they allowed all kinds of charlatans to come in their midst and muck it all up. And granted, video games and atheism are not exactly a solid platform as much as standing up for your own bloodlines, basically your own ancestry, your history, your culture. It's not, yeah, that is not, yeah, that's more solid than just video games and all of that. But you can see in all of that, it's pretty exemplary of how anti-whites will try to do the same to the white positive sphere. Why wouldn't they? It has worked before for them. And we have, and if you have pattern recognition, you can tell what types to look out for. They'll wave the right flag, they'll dress the right way, or so to say. They'll say the right things. But are they actually living it? And that can be found out. And asking questions is also a very solid second way, provided you ask the right questions. All in all, the machine is gonna fall. It's gonna break down any second now. So, kind of forced to end it here. It's a bit of a long video too, isn't it? But I enjoyed making it, and I'm gonna keep talking about this, and I hope others will do as well. You all have a good one, and bye-bye.